Yeah, I don't really know what happened here. I haven't seen eyes on Riversan. Riversan's coming through behind, actually. There's a little bit of a flank being engaged here. I was wondering where Riversan was, so if they can use that properly, they can maybe turn the tides of this fight, because right now, you're right, they are really outnumbered when it comes to loot and the advantage, and the shots come out from Riversan, and it wasn't enough to really break this one apart. Creo just drums straight onto Lazar. Lazar goes down, and things aren't looking good at all for Riversan's team here.
Yeah, and for what we saw coming into that, Lazar was one of the few with shield as well, so we already knew Kaz didn't have it at the start of that, and he's hiding out. He's just sitting on the ramp. One tag, even from a shotgun, there it is. Just, you know, the indicator, right? To see the white HP, you just know at that point, it's confidence time. You're going to run right through it. Creo gets all three, though.
We've had some big changes to the way that the series points works, the way that everything works with qualifying into the semifinals. So I guess that's changed up how NA East wants to play these games, but this is back to it. This is your final chance to make a big statement, and the big shots come out from Spark here at retail. But I'm looking at the mini-map monster. We have another team rolling in from the south, and it's not looking good, and there it is. Spark didn't see it coming. He's confused. He gets caught off guard, and it's COD Genesis. This is one of our two teams that needs to place here today. COD Genesis team needs to come top 10. If they don't, they will not be making it into the semifinals, because they're a newly formed team that lost their consistency points.
Again, it's just to continue doing what they have been doing, and we should be seeing them into heats. Divine and Ace on the other side, again, a fight that we've seen weekend after weekend, right? It's carrying on. This is a mirror, I'd say, battle or a rivalry, same as we saw in Lazy Lakes.
Yeah, at the same time, this is the team. I'm pretty sure Blake's team probably dropped Pleasant and pushed over, I'm guessing, based on both teams being heavily looted. And it's been one that has been breaking down a lot, because today, Blake's team doesn't have to be contested by Polarized, who did also qualify last week at Pleasant. But Sid and Divine are on the back foot right now. Divine is on the back foot alone, has the firepower, but in a 1v3 against Blake, Oaks, and Ronaldo, who are all full health, full shield, I have to think Divine's lost this one, unfortunately. And yeah, an interesting push from Blake's team. I guess it's a good way to try and, you know, get your Storm Surge, just take that full-on engagement over at Stealthy Strongholds. I love this drop spot, but due to the kind of terrain, the way that it's placed out, Monster, it's really hard to know if a team is pushing you from outside. If they get up on those walls or hide behind the trees, you can set up a really good ambush, as they have just clean wiped this team. Yeah, unfortunately, have kind of like slipped out of the narrative there on the low ground. There's been other teams that have been trying to claim it, but yeah, no one has built up the reputation of Centered, Commandment, and Edgy, even to the point that people were wearing Centered stereotypical skin in tournaments, like even to the point where pros were pointing out how many impersonators he had, because having that skin on low ground was almost a signal for no one else to go down there. You guys might think at home we're being dramatic, but I guarantee you they have built up that much of a reputation. It got to that point where they became synonymous with being on low ground. If you saw that skin, you'd be like, oh, never mind, we're going to play mid ground this game. And as Commandment takes down a Zervo in the feed as a duo, so they're still doing big things, but this is looking like Gabe Tahi and Sprite's game. If they can get a half, which is that fifth zone, if you guys are watching at home and you don't follow the zones, that's that zone that goes half inside the Storm and half inside the existing zone. So it has to be on the edge somewhere of here on the fourth zone. It is impossible to go central, and that is why you see all these teams on the edge. They're hoping they can somehow get it on top of them. If Gabe Tahi and Sprite get it in this high ground position, we've seen that be one of the main recipes for success and one of the best indicators of a victory royale. Getting zone on high ground half is massive, but that's usually lobbies where you don't have Zayt, Saf, and Stretch roaming around with an RPG. They could change that narrative very quickly.
Yeah, Commandment's still popping off, and now he is a solo. I saw Edgy fall there too, so one man down. Here's Nosh Paper and Jamper, though. Keep an eye out on them. 400 damage above the surge threshold. Big material counts and plenty of movement to work with. Seems like they're going to cut their way all the way to new zone.
Wait,
relatively free of charge. What a great rotate for them.
I think we called it early. Sorry for those viewers at home. Looks like Center just got an elimination in the feed, so it must have been a knock, not a finish. So maybe Commandment Centered still pushing ahead. I don't know if Edgy was a finish or a knock, but Centered is definitely still in there as well. So I don't know where they are doing these things that we're not seeing, because they're picking up eliminations in fights as Gabe Tahi and Sprite set up there, looking like they maybe can do something. And look at the caliber of names you see just on this panning shot. I am so excited for today's round 4 monster. I see Avery, Creo, Illis there, Stretch, Sapphire underneath that one. You have Jack and A-Corner inside main building as well. This is going to be an absolute clash of titans here in the first game, and everyone wants to make their statement as Sprite picks up 2 eliminations in the feed from high grounds.
Yeah, and that's the strength of the high ground, right? Really being able to look down and see what is going on the feed, what is going on in the area as a whole. See Cobra's trying to make a rotate on in Archive there in the low ground too. Zealous knocked here, just gets picked up, now popping a med kit, and that was one of the knocks from Sprite and company. So they actually didn't get the full thirst there. They allowed the reboot for the pickup to happen, and now they're focusing more so on the next rotate. Look at that. They're actually expanding out early out of metal. This is important because we do know RPGs in play. These metal structures are going to need to take 2 rockets, and being how reinforced they are, this is a good sign of them setting up the anti situation, I guess, for someone like Zate, who's going to try and step in and RPG them down.
And honestly, I have to sing this team's praises. Everything's been preparation. They've always just clearly discussed what is happening beforehand. If we get zone, we have to expand out. If we get zone, we're going to ramp on them. And now instantly they give up their reinforced high ground because zone is too far away. To expend the materials tarping this distance would not have been worth it. So Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, again, I just have to call them proactive right now. Everything they're doing, they've clearly thought it out before it happens. They've communicated. As soon as zone shows, they move. They're now on front side again. They now have this first rotating zone and they can build up for it. But you touched on a Monster. The RPG is in play and they're not in fully reinforced metal now, so scarier to try and hold. But honestly, this team is playing this game to perfection so far.
Yeah, they're playing well, and look at this on the outskirts. Zate is still up, Stretch as well, and Stretch is actually going to fall on that rotate there. That's going to be massive for the high ground team, giving them much more of an opportunity now to actually win this whole thing. We might just be seeing Sprite, Tahi, Gabe up above, hold this one out, but no, someone gives Tahi a little run for his money. He's going to have to go on up a little bit higher, and it was Acorn who found Stretch. They were right above one another, layer to layer. As you can see now, the explosion from Aperta is what's going to take out Zate there, so it's a back and forth. That RPG probably backfiring in the hands of Zate, and now all of a sudden, the biggest threat is gone from the lobby. This should be Tahi's run here.
It depends as well. I'm noticing they've gone through a lot of their meds there. Tahi fell down, had to go through his white heals, and this could very easily turn into a heal off. We don't know. I do still see Centered in there, so Centered is somewhere in the mid ground. We see Mikey, Clarity, and Niddle, a team we haven't talked much about, who as a full trio could cause the upset here and go for big things. As we tune in more and more to Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, I'm just noticing the lack of heal off potential. It might not come down to that. They can pressure the lobby, they can get their eliminations, but I don't know if they'll be able to secure that win, as Commandment and Centered are still doing things on the low ground before Adrian finds it. But we know eliminations are worth 2 right now, Monster, and this high ground team just isn't getting their eliminations up.
Yeah, if you're not getting eliminations, you're really not earning much at all, as placement points are really going to start giving out now. For every team that falls, a point's going to get divvied out, but you really want to break into the top 3. That's where the chunk of points are going to start jumping up exponentially. If you're not making it that far, you know, you better have had some elims, otherwise you're going to be slipping behind. Acorn's crew here, only 4 elims coming into this, and now as a solo, he has to pray that he can stay up and just steal away any points possible. Again, he slips into top 10. 20 players up means that there's a lot of full teams still here.
It's a lot of full teams. I saw Scoped, Has, and Tragics on the low ground looking to do big things as well. A team that has been playing very consistently but hasn't had their really big podium or top 5 finish here in these set lobbies, and I'm hoping to see that from them here as Has takes down Voil. As I say that, Tragics takes down COD Genesis, so they are wiping teams on the low ground. They are really stepping up into this low ground to try and hold it, as we see Nosh, Jamper, and Paper down here as well. But Acorn doing big things as a solo and not playing too aggressive, just holding these angles, dipping in and out of zone to try and just position himself. Only has 12 builds left, but like you said, every single team that goes down is placement as Nosh and Scope's team clash, and unfortunately looks like Nosh's team came out on top for Scoped.
Commandment is still up as well here, trying to work with nothing, working with house money there. You can see he's only got half a HP bar left. Acorn's gonna find some tags here, but nothing's gonna confirm from it. There it is, he finds someone else, and it's a big tag. Someone slips behind him. Can he hit it? No, he gets taken out. Nosh, Niddle, Tragics all lighting up the feed here now. Gabe gets challenged up above by Niddle, but Tahi does walk away with it. Tahi has the HP lead now.
But Tahi has no builds and has no meds right now, loses the high ground. As I was saying, they had the high ground earlier, got them some good placement points, but they didn't have the heals for it. They didn't have the material to hold it. And now we have Avery and Illust on the low ground. Creo has fallen, and they've been racking up the eliminations down here. They have 7 total. 3 they got on spawn. This is a 2v3 right now. This is going to be a full trio on high ground, seeing if they can de-seat Avery on the low ground. It is Nosh, Jamper, and Paper up there as well. Now I believe it's just Nosh and Paper as well. It is. It's a 2v2. Never mind. 9. This is so exciting way to finish. And these are two top tier teams, some of the biggest names in NA East, trying to see what they can do. And this team has the firepower. Nosh and Paper really are the fighters on this team. They have the superior mechanics. Can they drop down and make something happen? Big tax in hand, opening up the edit, trying to find their way in as Avery takes down Paper. Nosh is up here on his own. He needs to do it in a 2v1. Gets the angle, the right hand peek, and beautiful play from Nosh, showing just that box fight superiority. And man, what an exciting game one.
Up here. Yes, we've got Nittle, Mikey, and Clarity. A really good game from them, picking up third place here. You know, they're a third with 8 eliminations. Has Scoped and Tragic as well. You know, we saw these guys on low ground. They were kind of filling that slot for Scented, Commandment, and Edgy when they were kind of out of play. They ended up going down a little bit earlier, apart from Commandment, who was kind of still live playing as a solo for most of the end game.